Bonjour, salut, and konnichiwa, mis amigos, and welcome back to Overwatch 2 and the long-awaited second episode of the QuickPlay Podcast. I am joined today by the Reinhardt main Nova,
What's good? Best Reinhardt main here.
our Flex God Twix,
What up?
and the man with as many negative takes as the Overwatch League has fans, Cole.
What's poppin'?
Alright, today we will be discussing the tank role as a whole, what we think. We'll go tank by tank and kind of just discuss their place in the meta, how they are, how they can be fixed, or whatever. I'll go ahead and start. Why did Doomfist get nerfed? Who was complaining about Doomfist? Genuinely, with the latest patch, I think it was the punch stun got nerfed.
Yes.
I was like, wait, why? Who was complaining about that? Like, I understand going against like a goated Doomfist is like it sucks, but like, why did he need to get nerfed at all?
People don't know how to counter, apparently.
I was playing with the Doomfist, and I actually had trouble supporting him. I don't know why. I felt like I didn't know what to pick. Because I didn't want to get dived by playing Ana when I have to depend on another support to support me. But in any event, that's neither here nor there. Doom. As someone who plays tank Doom a decent amount, and Cole played a lot of DPS Doom in Overwatch 1, I feel like I can attest to what I think the character needs. I think to start would be a fucking ult, because other than getting charge punched, that ult is useless.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree.
to be honest, I'd love 5 shots in his shotgun instead of 4. I understand why it's 4, but I think an ammo buff would be cool. I think
Do you think like either a reload speed or the damage? Like which
I think the reload speed is fine. I don't think it's mostly just like he at the apex of his skill ceiling you can confirm kills, and maybe it's just catering to the fact that I'm not as good as like a Quake Dawn Zebra Chipsa type tank or tank type Doomfist, but I feel like he's he's like a better version of Ball in the regard that you need a high skill ceiling to get value out of the character, but as far as like how he is as a whole, the skill ceiling to getting value is too large for the average player. Because if you're like an average Doomfist, you feed, I would say, 60% of the time. Like your uptime is not very good. But if you're
More like
like,
75%.
yeah, but if you're goated, you still feed, to be honest. Because of like all the other stuff that's in the game, like the Suzu that makes you punch through everything when you thought you were gonna need a shield or that was what you needed to get ult, and now you're stuck in the back line with no cooldowns, and you just die. Personally, I think he shouldn't be able to get CC'd out of block, or if he does get CC'd, it should give you a full charge punch. So like, yes, you can stun him, yes, you can sleep him, but if you don't kill him, he has full charge punch when he gets back up. I don't think that'd be game breaking, and I think it would offer more counterplay. Like, I know they have it Ana. I know she's gonna sleep me um when I go for block, but if she does, and they don't kill me, I'm gonna murder them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
That makes sense.
I feel like that's not like a game-breaking thing, and it would incentivize like you already don't shoot at power block, but you can CC him out of the fucking out the wazoo while he's in it. So if he gets CC'd out of power block, he just gets charge punch. I think that's a good change. I think 5 shots instead of 4. And if you have to rework the ult or something, or even if his ult wasn't even an ult and you just gave him like massive cooldown reduction and like a slight buff to damage. Like he just went on like for fucking, like the same amount as Dragon Blade, except all of his cooldowns are like 1 second. So for 6 seconds he's just flying around everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that would be terrible.
I think since they're kind of introducing CC back in this game with Mauga's Stomp, I feel like they should probably implement like a slow effect, not a major one, but like a small one on his Seismic Slam.
They already did that and
What
they
they
took it
do
away
for
because they said it was too oppressive. They had that at launch.
Yeah, wasn't that part of his ult, or is that something else?
No, it was his Seismic Slam had a slow,
That's what it was.
I think, in the mid-season patch at season 1. Cause I think off rip he was terrible to play. And
Well, I think
then
it's because people were not used to the fact that, first of all, he kind of lost some bit of mobility when he was a tank.
yeah, with no uppercut and I guess a better way to aim the slam rather than like a little hop and skip.
Yeah, and also the slam giving you now a jump, basically.
Yeah.
That was... Some people got a little bit confused on that one, and hard to aim on that.
Yeah.
And also, not many people were used to the new block.
Yeah. And then, but that's neither here nor there. That's my view as a person who plays Doomfist a decent amount. I will say that the tank role as a whole needs something because there are way too many things that just make you obsolete and not enough answers outside of like 2, maybe 3 tanks, which is why they're the 2 or 3 tanks that are played all throughout ladder and ranked and stuff like that. Well, ladder is ranked, excuse me. But quick play, ranked. If you want to sweat or win, you pick like these 3 tanks, which in my opinion are Sigma, right now Diva, because she got buffed, and then Orisa, basically.
Yeah, I feel like the risk is the number 1 when it comes to the tank climbs.
Yeah, but that's not it. We'll get to that when we get to it. We'll go on to Nova. You want to wrap on some Reinhardt real quick?
So where do we start? Well, I think as of right now, Reinhardt, I don't know what exactly. Well, sir, I do think maybe could use probably a bit more health. I feel like 450 is a bit low. Maybe probably 500, I believe. But being like, 25 being the armor, 25 being just the regular health. And also, I feel like he needs, I guess, a buff with the amount of boots there are and traps. Because I know it's all the tanks basically now have resistance, but Reinhardt has the most problem when it comes to this, and all he can do is basically swing a hammer. I mean, he can throw fire strike, but that's not gonna be enough arsenal. Just getting close to DPS most of the time, and especially some healers. But most of DPS and healers have a mobility that prevents me from even swinging at them. I basically have to use my charge to get even close to them, which even then. And there's the other problem, charge. Sometimes the charge works, and sometimes the charge doesn't. There are some charges where like, okay, this makes sense. But then there's a chargers that pull you in for whatever reason. I think they need to fix that. The hitbox with the charge. I've seen people miss chargers, and I've seen people get chargers out of the sheer bullshit of from what I've seen.
I can attest to the fact that when I've been on Lucio and got sucked into a charge, where I was like top right of his shoulder and then just sucked right in front of him.
There's even also closed rooms, like how it's so narrow, like, and yet, oh, I should be able to hit this charge. They bounce away from a narrow hallway. Okay. For Shatter, I think it's good as of right now. There are obviously some characters that can counteract it, like, or obviously it's like Suzu and everything. I just feel like right now, Reinhardt might need a bit more love. I definitely think a major one for me specifically is, the buff, is his HP, his charge. Secondary would be his charge getting fixed. And shield, what's the shield? 1400. I feel like that needs to go back to 1600. But the rate how some DPS are getting buffs to their either damage or some character with their burst, I definitely feel like Reinhardt should need to charge a bigger shield. Because I feel like 1400 is very small for whatever. To go back to 1600. And it's hard. Reinhardt, I feel like you can climb with Reinhardt, but there are so many characters to counteract this character that it makes him useless at some points.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Before I go on about more Reinhardt, Cole, as another resident Reinhardt player, do you want to chime in on anything, or do you think Nova kind of got it?
Or anything you disagree with me right now?
I agree with you on everything. I think they should re-implement his longer stun on his Earth Shatter, and if they don't give him any buffs to like any of his kit, make him faster when he's holding the shield, or like give him more armor, something. Make his swing hitbox a little bit.
Said, make him like more resistant to the boots.
Not necessarily more resistant. Oh yeah, no, like
he definitely needs it because with his arsenal, what he has, he definitely needs it.
Yeah.
Heck,
but
I'll even argue the fact that he had this in Overwatch 1, and this was only a Reinhardt specialty. But then when Overwatch 2 came in, all the tanks got it.
Yeah, but like I was saying, I would say make his swing a little bit like larger as well, and I think that would probably be about it. Just like those changes might be able to maybe fix him, because as someone who likes to play Reinhardt, I really have not touched him except for today and maybe a few other games. It's very hard to make him work. If you want to make him work, you kind of have to smash your face into a wall and just hope that you win.
Yeah, you basically have to have a Lucio, or you're just throwing too.
Yeah, this character needs mobility. Each and every character has their own mobility set, but some characters better with mobility than others. But Reinhardt is probably the worst of the worst when it comes to mobility.
I would say that he hasn't evolved to the point of where the game is now, which 5v5 brought, obviously. There's not a lot of hold a position as much as it is push into them, engage when you can, take off angles, all that kind of jazz. Like that's what 5 it supported solo play essentially. It's like if you're good, you'll be able to show that you're good a bit more than you would have in 6v6. But at the same time, like I think I talked about it in the last podcast, like a lot of these tanks that were grandfathered in that were 6v6 tanks just aren't ev- evolved enough to battle these essentially Overwatch 2 branded tanks, the Junker Queens, the Ramatras, to a lesser extent Tank Fist. Um, what's another? One more tank came out, right? Or is it just Junker Queen to Ramatra?
Before Overwatch 2?
No, in Overwatch 2. Is it?
As of right now, those are the two.
Yeah,
Okay.
just those two.
And then Mauga in what, like
Yeah,
2
Malga's
seasons?
not come out yet,
Or next season? Next season, I think. It comes in December.
which is
Yeah.
gonna be big next
Yeah.
season, but we'll get to that later.
But like I agree with a lot of it. I don't agree with the hitbox on the hammer being larger, because I think you at that point you power creep into now he's just good everywhere, which means he's oppressive at once you know how to play him. Like at that point, you become like a essentially I don't a lot of you guys don't watch it, but London Spitfire, they've been forcing Ryan Rush into grand finals every season for basically as long as I've been watching, outside of like the first couple years of
When
Overwatch
I see the
League.
rushness, I see mostly Reinhardt in those rushes.
Yeah, like there's Ram Rush and stuff like that, but like London Spitfire is always just Ryan Rush. And you go to a point where you overtune him, and now that's every game. Kind of like how at the start of Overwatch 2, it was always if you wanted to win, it was Queen Rush. And I think Reinhardt, I think that the shield buff needs to happen. Probably to 1600.
Yeah, that's
His
right.
health
I
needs
was
to
like
get.
thinking 1800, but nah, it's probably too much.
Yeah, I think 1800 probably is like that extra bit he probably doesn't need. I think 1600 was fine because that's what it was at the beginning of Overwatch 2, and that didn't seem to be an issue.
Yeah,
Um, then it got nerfed, yeah. Buffing his stun back on the shatter. It's a skill ult. If you miss it, you miss it. If you hit it, it should not be nothing but fat shatters. Um, there was one other thing. The health buff, obviously. You said he has like 450 or something like that.
Yeah, he has 450. Well, I feel like that's a little low for me personally. I do think 500 is probably the good number for Reinhardt.
Are you
Yeah,
talking
and
about,
I
like,
think
actual health, or are you talking about for like armor?
no
Or
actual.
just in general.
Yeah, well, his health bar. What is it?
You know, I feel like if his armor and if his health bar, it's probably gonna be 25 split for armor and health.
Yeah, or just give him a health buff overall.
Yeah. I don't
And
know
I don't think
he
his
needs
damage
a lot
needs
of-
to change. I don't think his
No.
fire strikes needs to change. I just think it's like a health buff, and then because a lot of the
Maybe he needs
things,
I
a
forgot
lot of
about
the things that make Reinhardt unplayable are not in the tank role. They're in every other role. Suzu counters your entire ult with an ability. Bastion melts through you. Bastion melts through you. Cassidy can right click your shield down to 0 in like right click, roll, right click, your shield's gone. So all of your utilities just gone in for another
I
5-10
definitely
seconds,
think
and by
he
that time
does-
you're melted.
I definitely think he probably does need a bit more mobility. Probably add more mobility for his swing. Like when
I
you're
think-
swinging,
Oh, go ahead.
because when you're swinging, like you lose a little bit of that mobility. So you basically have to walk up to them, not swing, just to catch up. But even at that point, with the amount of like characters like DPS, for example, have so many mobility, they could just get away easily. So
Yeah, I think
that's why
wild
the
take
Lucio
here. I
Reinhardt
think
synergy is so good.
yeah. I think a cool new like rework and also adding a little bit to the kit, like give him ability to strafe with his jet, basically. Like maybe it's on a like a 6-second reset cooldown. Maybe a little bit longer, like a like a Genji dash. Like it doesn't do damage. It just like you can like you can be like just ahead of them and then shift to the right or left, and then
Even the mod where I can wield 2 hammers.
give him, yeah, 2 hammers. That's his new ult.
Or
He's just a
or
Beyblade.
probably maybe like you charge and you can have option to swing.
Oh yeah, that'd actually be cool too. But like just give him like give him a little bit more mobility in the fights that he should be in the brawl, to give him a little ability to outplay, like this. Oh, like, oh, she was gonna sleep me, but I strafed it, or that nade didn't hit because I strafed it, or I strafed around the ram shield and shattered their whole team. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like just give him like a little bit of more extra mobility that doesn't break the character. That makes him to the point where like, oh, he was overtuned, I think 2 seasons ago, and he was climbing on ladder, and then they nerfed him back.
Here's a wild
Like-
take.
Clear wild save.
Give him an extra ability for his charge called Afterburner, where you can charge to do more damage, but it also deals damage to yourself, like a certain amount.
No.
You can wait. What does that mean?
So like,
What do you
say,
mean
for
by
instance,
that?
like if you like, let's
Oh,
just
like
say
an
like
extra
you're a
boost to the
Reinhardt.
charge.
Yeah. It's like a speed boost for the charge, but it does more damage to the enemy. Like, say, for instance, like if you charge like another Reinhardt, instead of doing like the base charge damage, you do more than that, but it also gives you, let's say, damage to yourself a certain amount, or like it's like a longer cooldown, or give it like a resource meter kind of thing, like how they do with like Roadhog now.
I think in that way it's creeping into the he's too good for everyone. Because at that point you're adding a, don't get me wrong, I think it's a move in the right direction in giving him something else to his kit that's already there, but it's adding to, you can't outplay a supercharged charge. If he hits you with it, you're dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't outplay it. You can hopefully sleep him, or you can hope he doesn't hit a wall, or he stops the charge prematurely, but at that point he's already taking you out of LOS of your supports, and yada 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 blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, generally, whenever you get pinned, it's usually on a squishy target, so you're already dead anyways.
True, but there are squishy targets he can't kill. Like he can't kill Bastion, he can't kill Reaper, he can't kill Mei
He actually can kill Reaper. I was able to pin a Reaper today. It killed him
from full health.
But I do
From
think
full health. I think so, yeah.
I do think the charge is probably, it's somewhat of a double-edged sword where you can, if you hit the charge, you're golden. But if the enemy sees you charging, some of those people can see that as an opportunity to shoot you while mid-charging.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat of a double-edged sword.
I think it's the right amount of risk though for the play you're
Yeah.
trying to make, which is why that's why it's saying like that doesn't really need to get changed, because it's not overpowered. It's the right amount of powered. It gives you an ability to outplay it, but obviously if you're skilled enough to hit it, you're good. Like that's it. I think yeah. As far as Reinhardt goes, I was literally just listening to the Group Up podcast with SPB and Samito and all of them. And like the game is in a good spot when Reinhardt, among other tanks, are good. If they're getting just absolute, like if you pick Reinhardt and they go, just an example, Ram, Bastion, Mei, you can't force Reinhardt into that. You're just gonna throw at that point. But obviously, like we were saying before, or like I was saying before, a lot of the issues with some of these tanks aren't in the tank role. There are tanks that counter tanks. That's the whole point of having so many heroes and characters and all that kind of jazz, to give you autonomy to what you want to play. And like you don't always have to counter it. Like you can just be like, all right, like the zebra method of just I'm gonna pick Doomfist. You're gonna go my counters, and I'm still gonna roll your team. Just the I know I'm better at this particular hero no matter what you pick. But it becomes to a point that like it doesn't matter how good you are, that there's so many things that will just make you obsolete. Like if you were to go, you had the perfect rush comp, but they go Ram, Bash, and Mei, Kiriko, Ana, or Kiriko, Zen. You're going to get absolutely destroyed before you can even be able to force the rush onto them. Because there's so many cooldowns and abilities that counter everything you can do. But like I was saying before, like we're trying to stay just on the tanks, not so much what other roles do to them. We'll kind of power through a couple, then we'll get to Sigma and the reworked Roadhog. So I'll kind of like get a yay or nay on these next few because it's like tanks that we either don't play a lot or I think are in a good spot. So let's go ahead and start with Zarya. Yay or nay? Leave as is or change?
I would say
Yay,
probably
I would
leave.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. Sorry, no.
I think right now Zara's probably in a good spot. Like, probably the only argument I could see, like, maybe for how long the bubble lasts, because I know there's a limit to how much you can get his energy off from one bubble.
It's 40 per bubble.
Yeah, I was gonna maybe. The only thing I can think of was probably have it higher, probably 45. But even then, I don't know if that's gonna change how the Zarya plays out. So.
Well,
That's
I
all.
think if you buff her thing, like let's say you do it to 45, that means if you melt through both of her bubbles and she has enough sustain, she's at a 90 charge and she's melting through anything. Not that you can't do it at 80, but when as soon as she creeps into 90 to 100, there's not a lot you can't even out heal that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I guess that's a faster way for Zarya to be stronger.
So I guess
Yeah.
that would be the power creep. That would be the same thing as how kind of Diva is now, and
Yeah, well, I guess there really isn't much to change for Zarya. I think she is probably in a perfect spot the way she is right now.
yeah, like you can outplay her, and like she's not an automatic lose con if you pick her / play against her, which is the case with a lot of tanks, or not a lot of tanks, but there's a few tanks that like no matter your matchup, you're still okay. Like there's ones that are like worse for you obviously, but as a whole you're kind of as a overarching here's the matchup that you come into the game with, you're probably fine. Twix, any opinions on Zarya? Yay or nay?
Nay, she's in a pretty good spot, I would say.
Okay, so nay, no changes.
Yeah, no changes.
Okay. Ball. Yay or nay,
Yay,
wrecking
get
ball?
rid of him.
Changes. He needs changes. He needs help.
Get rid of him,
Yeah, just delete them.
Just delete him from the game.
please.
Just like snap, down, snap.
No one likes playing fucking Wrecking Ball. It's an abomination of a character. There's only one person here in this group that likes him, and we all disagree on them.
I'm not gonna say. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I don't not like Wrecking Ball. I don't like the fact that I can't play him to a high degree. Like if I could play Wrecking Ball to a high degree, like a Chasm,
But it's so
I
hard
would
to
play
do
Wrecking
it.
Ball. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely play Wrecking Ball if I could play him to a high level. But
That's the
he
thing, you need to play him
that
at a high level.
yeah, he is that high level and mechanics induced character that he's not meant for everybody. He's meant to be that character, and he plays his role correctly. The only thing is that in 5v5, he is not as
He's not the
team
strongest tank
based
to
as
pick.
he should be, as they're
Yeah.
trying to make all these tanks be. Like he's not. His value is just going off on his own.
Like he was stronger as a secondary tank, but by himself, it's so difficult.
Yeah, as a solo tank, he's dependent upon like, okay, I need you guys to do stuff too. Versus like as an off tank in Overwatch 1, he can do his own thing. Maybe he has a support with him or a DPS, and then they kind of just off angle, go backline, that kind of jazz.
He was literally the distraction
Yeah,
for an off tank.
he's you force CDs on him. That means you don't have him for the main guy rolling up trying to stomp your butt in. But okay, so Ball, he needs changes, make him more
Bro,
viable for everybody.
say your piece to this shit.
I would say give him more, like
Truck
a
you more
variety
into
of play
those.
style.
More variety of
Uh,
play style.
Because like I remember you mentioning in the first one that we did that he needs more to do than just roll in, slam, shield, and get out kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like he needs a different playstyle. I think that's what I was saying before. Like what he does is what he does. I just think that he can't do it as well as a solo tank, because even if you look at like top 500 and all that kind of jazz, there's not a lot of balls. I would say there might be like one in the top 50, maybe at most five as far as main accounts. And I think that like even they tend to switch because they're team inducive in the fact that like the team is what makes Ball succeed, but as a solo tank, he's just not doing enough. Like don't get me, he can get his value, but he is valueless at certain ranks. Or at least that's just my
No, but
opinion.
what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I've seen people use Hammond's abilities more than people use his primary guns. Like it's so, and even then they use it, but only when you're like so close to dying that just to finish you off.
Yeah, that is true.
I rarely see people use Hammond's guns at all.
Yeah, you can get away with just rolling in, slam, shield, get out, roll in, boot people off. I literally was just watching Chasm
It's like
do like a literally no shoot. Like he unbinded it and he was just rolling, just doing the other mechanics of Ball. Obviously that's
It's
like the apex of it, but still.
it's like the Bastion treatment where people can only get kills in turret mode, and there's also a ability, and that's it. Not as prime, just a simple single shotgun.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we'll go to. I'm not gonna go to Diva yet because I think she needs a little bit more talking about. Ramatra. Yay, he needs changes. Nay, he's fine.
I would say maybe buff his ultimate again. I mean, I know it was kind of annoying to kind of have like an infinite Ramatra ult.
It was oppressive. You couldn't do
Yeah,
anything
it was,
about
it
it.
was rough.
I'm not saying to revert it back to that, but like maybe give him like a little bit more armor. Maybe change his Ravenous Vortex. The Ravenous Vortex is good, but it can not be effective as well as be effective. Like it's like a glass cannon ability. Kind of.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a glass cannon ability. I think it's
Yeah.
just it's an opener for the rest of his abilities. I think it does its job if you are using it in that way. I can tell you for sure I don't use it in that way. I'll kind of just throw it out. Depending on who I see, like if I see I don't know, Baptiste or Lucio trying to get away, I'll try to cut him off with it so he gets slowed down so I can melt him down. But
And
it's
a
just
way
kind of
to,
like that
make
extra
shit
little
feel-
chip damage, and then especially you
Yeah.
can use it to open up your ult. Because now they can't get away.
I would say have it deploy faster instead of the regular speed it is. Like have it fly out faster. That might be a good change for the Vortex.
I think I can like a cast time decrease.
Yeah. Definitely cast time increase would be helpful
Shoot it
for
out like
these
a cannon
vortex.
from his arm.
Imagine have. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Just have like a really good like drop on it.
I
Yeah,
guess
not
yeah,
bad.
that's not big of a change that would, I think, buff the character. But
Maybe even
okay.
give him more ammo for his staff. That wouldn't hurt.
He has 100, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's 100.
Yeah, I don't think that needs more. I think that's fine. I don't find
What about the
myself running
damage?
out
Do
of
you think
ammo on my staff when I
do
play
you think the
Rabatra.
damage is decent?
I think
Or
it
do you
ramps
think it's a
up.
bit
I think
low?
it's for what it does. It's perfectly fine. Like obviously, if you hit headies with it, it's gonna melt through
Yeah,
anybody.
Eddie's is fucking disgusting.
But that could be said about any ability. If I hit you all headshots with Soldier, you're gonna die in a second. I could two tap you with Cassidy, but you know, like that doesn't mean like they need nerfs or buffs to their damage and or ammo capacity. It's just a matter of like if you just hit your shots, kid. But okay. So I think the consensus is Rams fine.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Um Junker Queen.
She,
She definitely needs some changes.
yeah.
Do you think it's just all buffs?
But I think the only buff will probably be her shout. Cause I feel like that might need a shorter cooldown. Cause that's her only like survivability.
It's her speed boost. Obviously, she gets her own little mini Lucio.
And also, there's also like a duration, like if the ability to activate, and there's like a duration for them to become a cooldown ability.
Yeah, because a lot of opinions are like you have to be careful with shout because when it was first implemented, it was oppressive, and there's ways to rework it where maybe it only benefits her. So one way was that she gets the armor and speed boost, but everybody else just gets like the speed boost
Yeah.
instead of getting the armor or not armor but over health. And I maybe I could be speaking because I like playing Junker Queen. Maybe it triggers her bleed heal.
The
So like
shout
it,
or the,
yeah, your shout. You would shout, and if her bleed heal wasn't triggered, it would trigger on shout.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but like you're saying give buffs to yourself and to your friendlies, but have it do like a damage to like the enemies kind of thing, like a damage over.
No. It wouldn't. No. So like right now, shout is just over health and speed. I would say change it to where it mostly benefits the tank. So Junker Queen. So you get the over health and speed with Junker Queen. Your teammates get the speed, but if it hasn't already been triggered, it triggers her bleed. Not to say like someone is getting bled, but like the health recovery
Oh, okay.
is what I mean. Like it would trigger just the health recovery. So it adds a lot more sustainability. I mean, you would go into the realm of like, okay, well, now she's just unkillable, which is how she was at the start of Overwatch 2. But I think that it would give her the tank autonomy of like, okay, I can win fights, and also like, okay, she's buffed up, but the rest of her team isn't. So we just collapse on the rest of them, and then she's dead in the water.